to Ingenious Genealogy. In today's video, I am exploring using AI in genealogy. This is for beginner and advanced genealogists. I'm doing this video because it's quite a big topic at the moment in the community. I know that the Lost Cousins newsletter has done some pieces on this recently. I know that Who Do You Think You Are magazine is doing a piece this month. So I thought I'd kind of make a little video with my own thoughts on this exciting new area of technology, how it can be used in genealogy, and in particular, I want to make it clear that this is a exciting tool for genealogy, but I'd say it's nothing more than a tool. And I'll come to that at the end of the video. So, first of all, what is AI? So AI, as I'm sure you know, stands for artificial intelligence, and it's basically where a computer or software is able to undertake tasks that previously only a human intelligence could undertake. Machine learning is something where AI is able to develop and grow over time, and that means that it's often something that you can use to complete tasks that human beings usually found quite difficult, but in a fraction of the time and often to a better standard. We're going to look at that in a moment with photo restoration, where I believe it can do things that I think for human beings would be extremely difficult, and it can do it in a fraction of the time, and as I said, to a better standard. One of the big discussions about AI is that it's able to reduce the time taken to do things, and that means you can free up those routine activities, those routine tasks, which means you can be more productive in other areas. If you're not having to do the routine, it frees you up to do other more exciting activities, and again I'll come to that later in the video. There are of course ethical considerations with AI. We'll touch on some of those in the photo side as well. Something that we don't cover later, which I want to cover now very quickly, is obviously the impact on the environment. I'm aware that often AI does require a significant amount of water to operate, and obviously that is not great for the environment. So just be careful when you are using AI and thinking, as I said, it's a really important tool, but are you using it for the sake of it? I think you can justify these things when there's a reason for it. I think you have to be very careful and just have those considerations in mind. So AI in genealogy, as I said, it's currently a very hot topic. So in particular, I'm just going to list in this video the many ways that I use AI within the hobby, and I'll give you the pros and cons with each way that I use it. So the first one, as I mentioned, is photo restoration. I love restoring my old photographs. I like to be able to, I get them all printed in photo books with my new restorations. I love to be able to look at a picture from 1870 and a picture from now and kind of take away the barrier of time and have those pictures looking as similar in quality as possible, because I want to take that barrier away and see these people as human beings, and not through that kind of prism of a faded old black and white picture. So when I started scanning my pictures in about 15 years ago now, so around 2010, just after that, when I started scanning the pictures in, this was, this was beyond the dream. I never thought we'd colorise material. Really, it was just about scanning stuff in. That was all the project was about, and then kind of giving it a basic restore with some of the features on, Windows. I got to a point now where AI can be used to sharpen, it can be used to colour, and it's freed me up to a point where actually I'm going through and I'm manually cleaning up the pictures myself. I've gotten through tens of thousands in about 5 years. Without AI, I would never even started. I just wouldn't have had the time in my lifetime to have done this on my own. So the fact is, for an amateur like myself, it's enabled me to do things that I could never do before, and certainly I couldn't have afforded to have paid someone to do this. I remember Peter Jackson, the director, he did a great film about 10 years ago now about the First World War, and he colorised old footage, sharpened it up. They did a lot of that manually, and what he said at the time was, the thing with the colorisation is the more human hours you put in, the better it's going to look. I think with AI now, you can get a very, very, very good looking image in just a couple of seconds, really. I've put here that it works particularly well on studio portraits and negatives because they're already of a high quality, so you already start from a good point. Pictures that are light damaged, I've been able to do that on there as well. But really, you can highlight details on a picture that you couldn't even see. I remember I asked the AI to colorise a picture, and I hadn't noticed that there was a dog at the bottom of the picture, and it coloured it in. It kind of adds shading to the colour, so like on the faces, in the grass, so details that didn't exist in a black and white, it adds those details in, so actually pictures look sharper already just from having colour added, because you're having that colour information, that colour detail, that shading, so already you're getting a higher definition, and then running that through another AI then to sharpen it off into a 4K quality. It is absolutely incredible, and obviously it's guessing what the missing pixels should have been, and as I say, I think in many cases I don't think you could have done it manually. There are some very skilled photo restorers out there, and I'm sure they could also do an incredibly good job. I think this does it in a fraction of the time, and also for a much lower cost for us as amateurs, especially if you've got a big collection to get through. What I will say is I don't use AI to do scratch removal if there's scratch or dust. I do that manually. This frees me up to do that. So it makes that mountain that bit lower to climb. That's why it's taken me 5 years, and I'm nearly done with, I think, about 20,000 photographs. I'm nearly there. This has sped it up for me. But as I said, I think, and often it's never perfect. The colours are never perfect. The sharpening's never perfect, and I have to manually go in and fix it. So that's a consideration. However, the fact is, I wouldn't have been able to have done this full stop without it. So I think if you think it's just going to do it for you, I think to get it done properly, you do need to manually override certain things. So yeah, I would just be wary of that. The big ethical consideration, of course, is that obviously it's adding these pixels of detail in for colour and sharpness. The fact is, I mean, I was lucky, like with my grandparents' weddings, I could speak to people who were there and they could tell me what colour people were wearing, clothes, that's fine. I've got pictures I've coloured in from the 1920s. No one in the picture is alive now. Tell me what they were wearing. It's a guess. And of course the danger is if you pass pictures on that have been colorised and restored without saying that it's a restoration, there could be people later on who just believed that that was the actual picture and that's what they were wearing. So that is one consideration to be aware of. And here's just a little example. This picture was taken in September 1930 of my great-great-grandmother. On the left is the original photograph, black and white. I've zoomed in, and on the right we've colorised an AI, so you can see straight away it's a much clearer detail. We've taken that barrier of time away, and yeah, much more detailed image. I've manually taken out the scratches and dust and dirt myself, then colorised it, and then run it through the AI to sharpen it, and I'm very, very pleased with the result. When I got that printed in a photo book, I actually had that done as a full A4 page. I was very impressed, very proud of that restoration. So the second way that AI can be useful is in transcribing documents. A customer of mine who's also a genealogist, he first recommended this to me. What he did was he took a load of photographs in a cemetery of different headstones of individuals of interest. He uploaded the pictures into the AI, and he asked the AI to create a table with the name of each person on the headstones, to give him the date of death from the headstone, and then from the age to work out an approximate year of birth. And it was pretty accurate. It gave him this table of all the individuals, and it saved him a lot of time. So then his focus was on the analysis side rather than it took the transcription element out. Now, one thing he did have to do, and this is really important now with all AI, as I mentioned already with the photographs, is that you then have to go in and quality control that. Has it done it correctly? And the fact is, it's quicker to quality control than it is to transcribe it yourself. So it's still taking that time out, but you do need to put a little bit of manual time in just to make sure you've got that. So I did try it with some old handwritten court records. It was completely inaccurate. I feel with time, as with machine learning, that may improve, but I certainly won't be trying it for the time being. So then I attempted some newspaper cuttings. I had hundreds of newspaper cuttings, and Again, I think what I was anticipating to be a 5-week job, which I kept putting off, it did in a few weeks. Again, quality control was required. On the whole, it was the odd word that just needed to be tweaked. Some of them were completely inaccurate, so I was going to have to go in. The way I was doing it before was I was actually reading the article and using Microsoft Text-to-Speech, and then I was again quality controlling that, but this is even quicker than that. So you're still saving time. And as I say, it frees you up then for the analysis of what's in the newspaper, but you do need that quality control there. So with all this, it just frees you up because you're then able to analyse what you found, and you're also able to do more research. As I said, that was a 5-year project. I'm able to do other stuff that I couldn't have done otherwise, and in fact, this probably would have kept being pushed away because I just didn't have the time to commit to it. Collating information. So I think sometimes people overlook the fact that Google is a great resource for genealogy. People often think you're just limited to the main sites. No, you could go onto Google, type in an ancestor's name or a place name and a surname, and you may find local history societies that have put lists and documents up. You may find there's records at the National Archives where there's a transcription that it brings up. There may be blogs, online trees, family history websites where your distant cousins have put this information on there. There's loads of stuff out there. Especially local history societies like local history books and that kind of thing, all collections. So AI can be great to actually do that search for you. Just say to the AI, I want to find out everything about this surname in this particular village or town, and it will give you everything it can find on the web. So it might kind of things that it's found from transcriptions, different transcription sites. It's not going to be a complete picture. And I think certainly things like civil registration, parish registers, the census, this is the stuff that's not there because they're mainly on behind paywalls, but this is going to give you the stuff that maybe you hadn't found yet. It can return incorrect information, but it always gives you the sources, so you do need to double check. I know I had a surname which is also a place name, and it gave me some information on the place rather than the person, but it thought the place was a person, and it was completely confused. But I was able to go in and check that. Also be aware that it may miss certain hits that you might have done if you trawled through hundreds of search results yourself. It might, as I said, it frees you up time to kind of, as you're flicking through these search results, you'll kind of know what you've already looked at through AI, and it frees you up just to focus on the ones that it didn't find. I have made some small breakthroughs with this approach. I found a reference to an ancestor in a land record I hadn't found before, and I also found I was in contact with a distant cousin who gave me a rough handwritten family tree by one of their grandparents, and it mentioned that one of my ancestors' father-in-laws, it just called them the High Sheriff Davison, but it didn't say where they were High Sheriff of. I was able to go into the AI and basically find out if there were High Sheriffs of that surname at that rough time period and where they were. So it really helped me to kind of narrow down my search by using that publicly available information, these publicly available lists. Again, it's something I could have done manually, but it just sped it up. Having said that, you do have to be aware that it might have missed an important lead, because there is that flaw there is that error. There is human error as well, and that's why I guess doing it yourself manually, but also getting the AI to do it, you've then got that ability to overcome both AI error and human error as well. It can also suggest new lines of inquiry. I know I've had it where I've drawn blanks and it has said to me, have you tried contacting this agency or going to this museum? And it kind of gives you some ideas. But yeah, the big thing is it may miss some information. The most exciting thing about AI is that it can provide transcription on a larger scale. So this isn't so much helping you, but helping those big genealogy companies. I know there's been certain census collections recently which have been transcribed very quickly because AI has been used, which means you can get that collection out to be searched quicker than had it just been done by human volunteers. So you can get those big collections, big censuses out very, very quickly. As I said before, while there is AI error, human error also exists in these transcriptions. It just means you can search these quicker, and obviously over time they do get checked and verified. Users can submit corrections as well, as has always been the case with human transcriptions as well. Most excitingly, though, it can provide access to vast transcriptions of collections that would probably have gone untranscribed before. I know in Ireland there's the Registry of Deeds from 1708 onwards, a vast collection of information. They may at some point have got human beings to have transcribed the indexes. The fact is, Family Search have used AI to transcribe every word in it, and it's incredibly accurate, I have to say. And the amount of information I've managed to take from it, I've gone back a couple of generations on 2 branches. It's an incredible collection, and yeah, I'm going to do a separate video on that because it's just opened up so much information that would never have been transcribed. So whereas they may have at some point transcribed the indexes, and that would have been fantastic, the fact is I get a full transcription of what the record says, and again you have to verify and check, but on the whole these are really accurate, and especially for searching them, and it just brings you this incredible wealth of information. So again, it's getting everything to you that quicker, so that you can then do your usual process. So this isn't replacing the usual process of genealogy, but it is speeding up the time. As I said at the start of the video, it is speeding up the routine, and then it's freeing you up to really explore these sources, verify your sources, and really engage with the information that you're uncovering. So to summarise, AI obviously is great for photo enhancement, but just be aware that it's not necessarily accurate. It could be, but you may never know without a time machine. And of course it does require human guidance. The same is the case with transcribing records. It can save you valuable time, but quality control is required. You can collect information from a variety of sources, but just be aware that you need to verify these, and also be aware that some sources may be missed. Larger organisations may use it to provide access to exciting and untapped collections, such as the Irish Registry of Deeds. And in short, as I said at the start of the video, AI is a valuable tool to save time, but as I say, it's a tool. It's a tool, and it needs to be treated as such, as something that you can use to help with your research. But it's there to aid you, not to take over the research. You are still the researcher. So remember, it's not going to replace those traditional genealogical approaches. It's a bit like DNA research. It's DNA research is great, but it's never going to replace that traditional genealogy. But what do you think? Have you been using AI? Do let me know in the comments below if you've got any exciting uses of AI. I know there's use of AI with DNA. I've not done any of that yet, so I will come to that as and when I have, but for now I can only give you the pros and cons of what I've used. But yeah, I'd love to hear in the comments your own use, your own thoughts, and I will of course be back soon with new videos.